As soon as I locked in and began this series, Roasting Raw, I knew that this episode, November 26th, 2018, would come up right away. It's just notorious for being quite possibly the worst Monday Night Raw of all time. This show, I didn't watch it when it happened live, thank God, but because of this series, I've gone back to watch it, and it is far and away the worst Raw I have ever seen. Now, I'm sure in this series I'll watch some other Raws which are equally as bad as this, but from top to bottom, this show was one of the biggest creative abominations I have ever seen. From Dean Ambrose getting his injections, immunizations from the dirty, disgusting people with Ebola and E. coli, from that segment, to Drake Maverick taking Bobby Roode's robe, running backstage, posing in the mirror, then putting the robe in a toilet and pissing on it for 20 seconds, to a full first hour of acting general manager Baron Corbin with Bob Lashley and Drew McIntyre, just a full hour of them. Like, just what even was this disaster of a show? Like, how I don't understand what like I don't know how I need to phrase this really well. How I don't understand what goes through the mindset of someone, Vince, when they're making a wrestling show to make it this bad. I don't understand what you're trying to achieve. I don't understand what you're trying to set out to do. Because a show like this makes everyone on it look terrible. Everyone on this show came out worse at the end of the night. Whether they won a match, lost a match, had a good segment, bad segment. Sorry, there wasn't even a good segment on this show. Just, this whole thing was a disaster. This episode of Monday Night Raw, it's just, it makes the shows we get now, which, like, they're not good shows by any means at the moment, but it makes those shows look, like, pretty damn watchable. I was in shock at how bad this show was. Like, I knew, I'd seen all the rants in the community. Like, I'd watched the November 26th, 2018 Raw show, like, reviews, and all the people in the community who sipped the WWE Kool-Aid were even ranting about this company from this show. That's how bad this was. The full hour of Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre, we had just some of those illogical segments. Outside of Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler for the IC title, that was the only good thing on this show. The rest of it was just an abomination. The main event of Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin, which turned into Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin and Drew McIntyre. And then it's just a bunch of just nonsense garbage. Sasha Banks and Bayley being interviewed by, like, a random fan. It just... Why? Why was this show even the way it was? And to make it worse, this company followed up the week after with the December 3rd episode that was equally as horrible. So I'm going to review that for episode 3. The December 3rd, 2018 episode was just... That was basically as bad as this one. I can't believe how bad this company was at this time period. Like, granted, in 2019, they were hardly any better. They were... If these shows are like a 1 out of 10, the 2019 shows like a 1.5. That's how I'd compare the level of atrocity. The 2020 shows at the moment, on average, I'd say they're like a 4.5. Like, the 2020 shows are half watchable, but God, these shows are horrible. So, without further ado, that's the opening diatribe. Pretty much, we'll get into this show. November 26th, 2018, episode of Raw. The show for here was in Milwaukee, so the people of Milwaukee who paid for tickets to this show, just bunch of clowns. Anyway, we open with the acting Raw General Manager, Baron Corbin, standing in the ring with Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Leo Rush is just standing there. Like, we just immediately go to these guys. They're in the ring. Pretty much Corbin throws some shade at the fans for eating heaps of turkey at Thanksgiving, calling the fans fat. Lashley says something about people being worthless beta males, and then McIntyre mentions beating up Strowman. From here, we get a full recap of Braun Strowman being assaulted by these guys, and then we see Braun Strowman, shirtless, sitting in a hospital bed. He says that, because he has like a big, massive bruise on his forearm, like this is like a giant welt on his forearm, and he says that the doctors have never seen an injury this bad before. Yeah, because I'm sure an experienced surgeon who's been around for 40 years has never seen anything as bad as this injury, Braun. Just, this show pisses me off. So we get Strowman saying that, And Strowman proposes that, he comes back to Milwaukee and beats the three of them up tonight. Corbin says that TLC Strowman won't be medically cleared to compete. From here, the lights go out. I'm thinking to myself, what, are we going to get the return of The Undertaker? What's this? And then Elias is singing on the stage. Elias says that Lio Rush will make a better GM than Corbin, even Drake Maverick would, and then he says that Bobby Lashley is Bobby Trashley. So they stole that from JD from NY. From here, Elias starts singing a song, which this was probably the best thing on the show, as pathetic as this sounds. Elias singing a song where the main line was, Bobby Lashley sucks. That's how bad this show was, that I'm resorted to saying that Elias singing that Bobby Lashley sucks is the best part of the show. So just a bland, nothing opening segment. From here we go to a no DQ match. Elias versus Bobby Lashley. Oh, sorry. This was just a singles match, Elias and Lashley. But Corbin, because he's acting GM, made it no DQ halfway through. So anyway, a very boring matchup here. Lashley applying a side headlock on Elias for a while. Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary using the term the Almighty to describe Lashley. What about Lashley is almighty? Tell me that, Cole and Graves. What about him is almighty? So from here, we literally get the match carrying on. Like Lashley trying to pose to flex and get heel heat. I'm thinking to myself, literally a bag of moldy noodles have more charisma than Bob Lashley. Okay, this guy's a complete clown. No charisma. So from here, Renee Young on commentary is trying to sound all involved, but she sounds totally out of place. We get a mid-match commercial. Afterwards, Elias has a flurry of momentum. Corbin then makes it no DQ. From here, Elias hits it like a diving elbow. Lio Rush pulls him out. And then Elias beats down Corbin at ringside. From here, the three heels just beat up Elias. And then Lashley pins him. Gave this 1 star. Complete disaster. So, from here, we go backstage. Corbin, he fires some worthless backstage intern. Alexa Bliss comes over. They exchange some just meaningless, horrid dialogue. Just this terribly scripted sounding exchange. Corbin makes Bliss the leader of the Raw Women's Division, even though she's an active competitor. And then Corbin says that they both look good, so they'll be GMs. Because that quantifies a storyline. So from here, we get Dean Ambrose getting injections. Okay, so Dean Ambrose, this is the segment which he said in the Stone Cold podcast, on the Stone Cold podcast, just the Chris Jericho podcast, Talk is Jericho. He puts this segment down to making him want to quit the company altogether. That's how bad this was. This sent him over the edge. It broke his back, or his camel's back, so to speak. It made him want to just leave the company altogether. So he's sitting in a doctor's office, getting just needle injections. It's just... Perhaps we get a recap of Ambrose and Rollins and their feud. From here we see Ambrose sitting in the doctor's chair. Ambrose says that he won't be there for the IC title open challenge later tonight, but he will be there next week. Instead, he's getting flu shots right now because the people, the dirty, disgusting people, are like vermin, he says. He says that the stench is like that of a third world country. He says, the stench of your breath, the body odor, your clammy fingers pouring all over me. It's revolting. Is this what Vince McMahon thinks of the neckbeard smark? That's what I interpreted this promo as. He's making Ambrose regurgitate what he thinks of smarks. Just pathetic. So from here, he says that he needs protection from Ebola, or E. coli, or Ebola. Who scripts these promos? Who reads these promos and thinks, oh yeah, oh that's such good, yeah. Well, I answered the question right there. Vince does. I don't understand what senile man, Vince, would think that these make entertaining segments. What is he trying to achieve at this segment? It just degrades Ambrose some more. So from here, Ambrose says that he can't go to Houston without his rabies shots. From there, the doctor points at all the different Ambrose points at all the different injections he's had, and then the doctor pulls out this giant needle. Ambrose pulls his jeans down that at the back, and the doctor puts a massive needle up Ambrose's behind. And then Ambrose is grimacing, cutting this promo about Rollins' sins and making him pay at TLC. This was the exact same segment that, as I said, made Ambrose want to leave the company altogether. I felt so bad for Renee Young, seeing on commentary, watching her husband go through this. I felt horrible for Ambrose being a part of it. Just awful. So that was absolutely god-awful. From here we go to a Lucha House Party rules match. The Lucha House Party versus the Revival. So the Revival come down saying that they want tag team wrestling back. And then the announcer, JoJo, says that it's Lucha House Party rules. From here we get the Lucha House Party beating the Revival in 3 minutes. They just make the Revival look like clowns. The Revival just worthless, getting buried. So this was a dud. from here, we got our commentators showing us why Nia Jax is called the face breaker, so aka because she botches, and then we get a video package for the hottest free agent in sports entertainment, Lars Sullivan. Or, as I interpret him, the adult entertainer Lars Sullivan. So, from here, we get this Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey promo segment, which it was just so void of passion or interest. So Nia Jax comes out with Tamina. I don't know why Tamina was even involved in this. So Nia Jax comes down, and then we get Nia Jax cutting this horribly long-winded promo about how she's the face breaker, how she's happy she gave Becky a concussion, how Becky's blood stained on her knuckles. And then she goes on and on and on about Ronda Rousey. It's just eye-gouging, this boring as piss promo. No one cares about it. So Nia's then talking about how she was the sole survivor at or what even was it? The Battle Royal at Evolution. She's talking about that. Finally, after literally like 8 minutes of Nia just going in this monotone voice, Ronda Rousey's music hits. So the Raw Women's Champion comes down. Ronda says that, or calls Nia someone that's relevant because of one punch to Becky Lynch. Ronda says that TLC she'll rip Nia's arm off and slap Charlotte across the face with it. From here, Ronda Rousey chants emanate throughout the arena. Then Ronda Rousey says that she wants the match now. Nia says that she doesn't. And then Tamina and Nia line up a beatdown. Natalya sprints down. And then the Riot Squad just jump her. And then Ronda scares off the Riot Squad. So that was that segment. I'd say this was less than subpar. Just monotonous. Nothing came out of this. Just a real waste of time. Like, you're having Nia Jax build up her TLC match versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's Championship. And you're doing that with Nia cutting literally a 10-minute solo promo about Ronda being the face breaker, Becky Lynch being a survivor. Just all of this crap. No one cares. So, if you think that was bad, from here we go to Drake Maverick and AOP backstage. Maverick says that he's experienced true fear and he lost his bodily functions because of it at Survivor Series. From here, we see Rude and Gable being interviewed, and they say they came together for this moment. So, we proceed to get a tag team match for the Raw Tag Team Championships. AOP defending against Chad Gable and Robert Roode. On paper, this sounds good. AOP, Gable, and Roode, four incredibly talented in-ring guys. Well, no, this wasn't about the in-ring. This is all about Drake Maverick and Robert Roode's robe, or Bobby Roode's robe. So literally, they start the match, we get like 2 minutes of action. From here, we see Drake Maverick grab Robert Roode's robe, run backstage with it, and then we go to commercial. We come back from break, we get like a minute of wrestling, and then we see Drake Maverick in the bathroom, he's wearing Robert Roode's robe, he's looking in the mirror, like, posing, and he proceeds to take off Robert Roode's robe. By this point, Roode and Gable are both in the ring watching this. Roode is acting all shocked. Drake Maverick proceeds to take off the robe, put it in the toilet, pull his pants down, pretty much just pull his fly down, and urinate piss all over his robe. Because this is entertaining viewing. This is something which, if you're a pro wrestling fan and no one else in your family or your friendship group is, and you're watching this segment, this is a segment which you want to be watching, and you have someone who doesn't watch wrestling walk in and go, oh my god, you watch this? What the hell? Why are you watching this? It's a man pissing on a robe in a toilet. This is the kind of thing, and it really goes to show like what a horrible show is, because you have boring shows, and then you have shows like this, which make you embarrassed to be a fan, with segments like this, Drake Maverick pissing on Robert Roode's robe. To go with Dean Ambrose and the immunizations, and an hour of King Corbin, GM Corbin, just horrid. So from here, we get AOP literally just winning the match and pinning Roode. So this was awful. This was a complete dud because of the Drake Maverick thing. One of the absolute worst moments I've ever seen on pro wrestling TV, when Drake Maverick's pissing on the robe for 20 seconds. I'm just putting my hands, like in my head in my hands, thinking, why do I do this to myself? I volunteered to do this series. I didn't have to go back and watch these shows, which are like 15 months old. I went back to watch these episodes of Raw. So I'm feeling just grief-stricken and like horrible by this. From here we see backstage Alexa Bliss approaching Bayley and Sasha Banks. Alexa tells them that tonight she wants the fans to get to know them. And then that's that. From here, Ember Moon makes her entrance. We go to break. Afterwards, Finn Balor does this backstage promo about how you're either with or against GM Corbin, and tonight he's against him. So from here, we get a singles match, Ember Moon with Kurt Hawkins versus Alicia Fox with Jinder Mahal. Now, this was even more about acting GM Corbin. So the whole thing was that, I guess they were trying to hype up the Mixed Match Challenge playoffs, and Ember Moon her partner was Braun Strowman, I think. But because Braun Strowman was injured, acting GM Corbin put Kurt Hawkins with Ember Moon. And Kurt Hawkins, his whole gimmick was that he has a 236 match-long losing streak. And that anything that goes right, like a move goes Ember Moon's way, Kurt Hawkins jumps around like he's a 10-year-old on a sugar high. That was the story of this. So basically, we get a 1-minute match with Ember Moon and Alicia Fox. Ember Moon just wins because, we all need to see this. Ember Moon hits the Eclipse, pins Alicia Fox. We get a bunch of build-up. We get a bunch of Michael Cole hyping up this mixed match challenge, which was a complete disaster. Alicia Fox and Jinder Mahal were just there. Like, whatever. So, we go from that dud, that no-rating waste of time, to No Way Jose and the conga line coming out. No Way Jose's dancing with bloody, Kurt Hawkins. And they're saying that Kurt Hawkins hasn't won a match in 236 matches, so this is his best achievement in the company. It's just embarrassing. So Kurt Hawkins is dancing with No Way Jose. No Way Jose's theme song mixed with the conga line makes me want to just pour bleach into my eyeballs. It's just nauseating. It really is. So No Way Jose is literally dancing. He then has a match with Jinder Mahal, which went for literally 5 minutes. 2 minutes was just a rear chinlock, and then it was Jinder Mahal just punching No Way Jose. Finally, Jinder Mahal hits the Kolass and pins him. I gave this a 1/4 of a star because I felt generous. Just an absolute disaster. The Singh brothers getting involved and interfering because No Way Jose just can't be beaten clean by Mahal. So from there we go from Ember Moon versus Alicia Fox and Jinder Mahal versus No Way Jose to a recap of Dean Ambrose and the injections. And I'm just thinking to myself, why do I do this to myself? So from here we get the Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge, Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. The one shining light in this just massive turd. Seth Rollins makes his entrance. The IC champion comes down. He uses his Monday Night Rollins catchphrase. Rollins says that no amount of bogus injections will make Ambrose immune to Seth Rollins. Rollins says that Ambrose isn't here tonight, but Ambrose is a liar and a coward, so he's probably lurking somewhere. He says that the Intercontinental Championship Open Challenge is now live. From here we get Dolph Ziggler's music hitting. Ziggler comes out and says that tonight he becomes the IC champion once again. So from here, if you're unaware of the story surrounding this, I'm not just going to hype this up, because Ziggler and Rollins wrestled each other literally 25 times in 2018. They main evented Extreme Rules in a 30-minute Iron-Man match that went to overtime. Literally, these guys wrestled so many times that by the time this happened on November 26, 2018, this was the 48th time they wrestled all year, so no one cared to see it. The match could be as good as you wanted. I make the analogy. It's like you eat donuts every day for 3 months. The donut's not going to taste as good 3 months later because your taste is so just conditioned to it. You don't care. So the match itself, it was good. We went to a commercial after 2 minutes of action. After the break, Ziggler was in control of Rollins, applying submissions on him, hitting neck breakers and driving him into the turnbuckles. Rollins was in the corner. Ziggler walked over to him, and Michael Cole said something that he usually says, but it just annoyed me even more on this show. Oh, Ziggler's stalking him. Cole, please don't say stalking. Anyway, you could just see this match. It rolled on. Anyway, Rollins, he made his comeback eventually. Rollins missed a big frog splash. From here, Ziggler then delivered a Fameasser for a 2 count. Ziggler then locked in a sleeper hold. Rollins escaped. Ziggler then avoided 2 stomps before zigzagging Rollins for a 2 count. In the end, Ziggler went up to the top rope. Rollins then hit him with a superplex into a Falcon Arrow for the pinfall victory. Pretty good match here, 3.5 stars. Rollins retains the IC title. So that was by far and away the only watchable thing on this show, because outside of that, this show was just an absolute abomination in all regards. So from here we go to getting to know Bayley and Sasha Banks. So Alexa Bliss is in the ring, she brings out Bayley and Sasha Banks, and then Cole immediately screams, "It's boss time," because it's Michael Cole. From here they do have some obvious plant wearing a Ronda Rousey shirt, asking them what they think about the Raw Women's Division. Bayley says that she's super grateful, then Sasha says that she's one complaint, and that she wants Alexa Bliss sent back to SmackDown. From here, the job squad of the women's division, so Alicia Fox, Dana Brooke, Mickie James, all jump Bayley and Sasha, and then Bayley and Sasha fight them off, and that's a segment. Did this need to happen? No. Moving on. From here we go to our main event, Finn Balor vs. Baron Corbin. It's good to see that in the first 2 episodes of Roasting Raw, the main events have featured Finn Balor. That should tell you something. So, Finn Balor, he has a knack for main eventing these awful shows. On May 21st, it was versus Braun Strowman. Here it's against Baron Corbin. Just like that match against Strowman, the crowd was dead here. The match itself did nothing to change that. Genuinely, Corbin was just beating up Balor for 10 minutes, driving him into barricades, applying rest holds and punching him. Eventually, Balor makes his little comeback, hits a sling blade and some drop kicks. Then Corbin just makes it a handicap match. So Drew McIntyre rushes down, hits a Claymore on Balor, pins him, and then the almighty Bobby Lashley runs down with Lio Rush, and they hold up Balor, and then McIntyre hits another Claymore on him. And so we end Raw with Corbin standing on the apron, Lashley standing on one turnbuckle, McIntyre standing on another turnbuckle, and they're all posing as Rush is clapping and Finn Balor's laid out. And that's how we end the worst Raw episode of Raw I have ever seen. Genuinely a horrid show. This was a creative abomination. It was one of the worst shows of Raw I have ever seen. One of the worst wrestling shows I've ever seen. I don't know what... Vince McMahon, when he wrote this show, must have been just off his rocker. Like he usually is, but this was just horrid. So that's the review. Hopefully you enjoyed. This has been Roasting Raw, episode 2 for November 26, 2018. Next up, December 3rd, 2018. Great. Can't wait to do that. See you next time. Bye.